And that didn't receive full support when we talked about it last time.
Is change of the zoning code something we can entertain tonight?
No, it would have to come. We could direct staff to prepare and come back with a proposed change to the zoning ordinance, which then we could send to City Council with a recommendation to approve or adopt or not, and City Council would then make that an ordinance, city law, and or not. But it's a more lengthy process, and it's a pretty dramatic approach.
And we're under a time constraint, you said, of around 6 months to get this resolved?
This particular application needs to be resolved in 6 months. That's what it states here. The Planning Commission or Board of Zoning Appeals shall continue an application for more than shall not continue an application for more than 6 months from the public hearing date. Published public hearing date was April. So if you were going to take a different approach, that doesn't necessarily apply. I will say, though, amending the text of the zoning code is a pretty big step. Has far-reaching implications. It would certainly draw this out a very long time.
Very lengthy process.
And that was something that was discussed by the Planning Commission, and they, as a result of that discussion, they suggested that a special use permit is probably a better way to handle that. That was initially a question that was raised at the first meeting, but
And it came around to the special use permit being the best solution.
and let me just be clear. They said that that was the best application, not necessarily that it would be approved or anything like that. They just said that was the best application, and they gave that option to the applicant.
I appreciate where your thinking was.
Yeah.
I think, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I think everyone up here wants to help you, wants to see you succeed truly. I certainly do. We're under time constraints. We've been here an hour and a half. I feel like everyone has had the opportunity to say what they want to say. Do you feel?
Yes.
Okay. I think it might be time I'd like to make a motion. Mr. Chair, I move that we forward onto City Council Sing Food and Gas Services Z-1302 forward with for denial to the City Council.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. We're going to call for a vote.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
We have 3 ayes, 1 no. So the motion carries.
I would just like to say that I really hope you do bring back a special use permit application that I think you'd have the support.
What happens to our business tomorrow?
They still have to go into...
Well,
So we're not
if-
able to operate until we go back for the special use permit.
well, I can't speak for the city staff as far as how they would, the enforcement of it, but I don't believe you're going to be shut down tomorrow if your intent is to continue an application for a special use permit. Right now, you don't have the zoning, and...
Still goes to the next phase, and then after that phase, I can apply for, if they turn us down there, then we can apply for a
Appeal.
Right.
appeal, or we can
We
apply for
haven't
a
denied
temporary.
your zoning request.
Yes.
We're sending it on to City Council.
Right.
They will take an action on it.
Just, again, to be clear, the city has agreed to allow them to continue to operate until the matter has been resolved.
There you go.
Okay.
If the rezone is denied by the city, if the rezone is not approved by the city council, then they've already been given the permission to apply for a special use permit.
That was waived at the council meeting.
That's what the council
Waiver was-
decided
right.
when they waived the limitation on successive applications. So they would be allowed to apply. They could choose not to apply, but they could be allowed to apply, and then they would go through this process very similar to the rezone application, at least the process.
I see, okay.
But they continue to do business until this is completely resolved.
That's what we have agreed to do, is to allow them to continue operating until this matter is resolved. They can choose to not continue to operate if they want.
Okay,
That's their choice.
All right, thank you very much.
all right, thank you, sir.
Thank
We
you.
gave it a good fight.
All right, next order of business, a new business, that was the end of the old business. New business is SP 1308, McDonald's renovation and expansion.
I didn't realize this monitor wasn't working. That makes it a little more complicated. All right, on your screen, you should be looking at the 2012 aerial view of the site. Commissioners on the phone, this would be the second slide of the presentation. From the site, you can see the McDonald's. Most of you should be familiar with it. It's the existing McDonald's that's adjacent to the interchange off of I-35 at 175th Street. The existing zoning map shows the site, which is zoned for C3. This is the third slide for those of you on the phone. There's agricultural zoning to the west and the north, and C3 to the east, and also to the south across 56 Highway or 175th. The next slide is one that wasn't really discussed in the staff report. This is showing the New Century Air Center, their airport interest area, and the Johnson County Airport Commission's recommendations for future land uses. This is not the same as our future land use map, so it's a little bit different. But I did want to show that this is within the airport interest area, because of the fact that it is so close to the critical corridor for New Century Air Center. This was sent to Johnson County for comments, and staff did not receive any comments back from Johnson County. The site plan on the next slide, I've tried to sort of color in where the additions are, so to make that a little easier to see what's being added on. This is for both the renovation and the building additions of the existing restaurant. A couple of updates to the staff report. The applicant has provided, since the time of the staff report, a PDF of the color elevations, so that and hopefully all of you received that by email. It was also posted on the agenda on the website for people to view in color. And then an updated landscape plan was received this week as well. And that was not included on the website or sent out separately, but there is a snapshot of it on a later slide. The site plan generally meets all the layout requirements that are within the zoning code. Stipulations were recommended for signage and also for lighting. According to your staff report, however, the recommendation in the staff report inadvertently omitted the stipulation that was intended to be recommended for signage, which states that no signage is approved with the site plan. Separate sign permits are required prior to the installation of any signage. So that is in an amended recommendation at the end of the presentation. Building elevations on the screen on the next slide are the color elevations showing